Yeah, hello, what's good everybody, it's your boy Romanpuss here with the one and only Bello Betty guide. We're going to go over everything you need to know about her, what makes her great besides just the distraction of enemy teams, and her pros, her cons, her counters, who she counters, and all that fun stuff. So anyways, let's start off with the stat recommendations. Honestly, due to some of her traits and specifically her skill 2, I'm actually kind of mixed on this. You can go whatever you so please. I do believe that it's probably going to end up being worth building attack. Like, I almost want to even consider going full attack crit on her. Yes, you will be squishy, but the thing is you have a skill that makes you invincible. So if you are able to keep fighting, you will be able to maintain your invincibility if you go a specific crit set. We'll get into that on the metal set recommendations in the end. But if you do want to go full HP defense, that's an option. If you want to go attack defense, that's an option. If you want to go attack HP, that's an option. If you want to go whatever, honestly, because of her being invincible, it actually can affect the game so many different ways. So it's up to you entirely how you play her, what feels good for you, and what type of player you are. So choose based off your own play style. Next up, let's talk about Betty's pros. What makes her so disgustingly strong? I actually think she's crazy, but a lot of people say otherwise. There are some close calls. I've been playing her level 60, and she is a monster at level 60. So anyways, what makes her strong is, number one, her invincibility. It's insane. You can actually get it, if you build the right metals, you can get the cooldown so fast. You got to maintain, usually you have to fight, so don't just sit there on your flag. Generally, depending on what metal set you're running, that's what's going to depend on it the most. So invincibility is what makes her insanely strong, and that's the biggest impact. Next up, your crazy buff that you have for your teammates. 50% attack buff and the 200% bonus crit is no joke, and this is why I think building crit could potentially be useful, because if you were to go to crit set, that could actually potentially work and give you those fat cooldowns that you need on your skills. Next, your knockback to knockdown. Every defender, I think, needs this in order to maintain viability. If they don't have it, usually they tend to struggle and will get their flags taken from them easily, specifically by someone like V1 King. Next, some great sources of cooldown on your skills. If you buff someone with your skill 1, you will get 50% of your cooldown if you're level 80, 50% of your cooldown on your skill 1 if that buffed ally kills someone, or if you kill someone, honestly, if anyone kills anyone, and you'll heal. So that's for your skill 1 cooldown, and in your skill 2 cooldown, you get 5% per hit on an enemy. So you can get 20% just for doing like a full basic attack combo, which is actually kind of nutty. So you get fat cooldowns on your skills and can get those back really quickly. Next is your knockback on your basics. There's a lot of units who can't be knocked off a flag without being a knockback. So third hit is a knockback, which is actually really useful for you. So comes in handy and saves you an awful lot. Next up, Betty's cons. What makes her bad? Or what's like, yeah. Honestly, the first one, which a lot of people are going to complain about, is the fact that you don't have any damaging skills. You do have one that staggers, but that is about it. So your skill 1 does stagger, or skill 2, actually. I don't remember actually one. One of them staggers the enemy. That doesn't do any damage. All it does is interrupt them from directly attacking you, so it kind of slows them down a little bit and allows you to basically attack them right after. So no damage skills can hurt. A lot of people do revolve around skills in opbr in general, so this does kind of feel like a little bit of a downer for you. It would be nice if they did a little bit of damage, but I think she has a lot of other tools in her kit that make up for that. Next is, in general, support units have historically been terrible in opbr. They usually revolve around playing around a teammate, and if your teammate's absolute trash, well, you're trying to make trash times trash is just more trash. So that's about it. You can't really fix trash. It's like 0 times anything is 0. So no matter how crazy you are, if your teammate's garbage, it's just going to be Jover and be doomed from there and forever and always. Anyways, next up, you're vulnerable to pushes and pulls. So there are things that are not just knockback, but there's things like pushes and pulls, something like Blackbeard's skill 1, something like Treble's skill 1, or Treble's basic attacks. Anything that can like pull you off your flag can interrupt you, or something like Charlotte Cracker's Biscuit Soldier can just push you off the flag and you can do nothing about it. So just be careful of those and those type of units when they yoink you off your flag. Now if you're invincible, it won't matter too much, but just watch out for the people that take away your skill cooldowns. Lastly, for your cons, you generally need to kind of stick with the teammate in order to help them cook. You can sit there and defend a flag alone, but I generally don't recommend it because if you're just sitting on a flag protecting yourself alone, it's usually not too useful. If you can have a teammate with you that can suckle those buffs from you from your skill 1, it will help you and your team and get so much more work done in the game in general. So I do recommend following around some type of attacker that you can give them a huge buff and allow them to destroy the enemy team, provided they are a capable player on their own. Alright, next we're going to talk about the characters that you beat. Now, Betty in general is a very universal, like, kind of generally good kit. I don't think in particular she counters any one specific unit. Now, the definition of a counter is someone who specifically destroys another unit and will win it basically 9 times out of 10 forever and always. So, basically, if you're fight to Luffy against, like, the Onigashima Nami, she can't shock Luffy, so generally, she's countered by a Luffy. But Betty doesn't really specifically do that to any character. So everyone she fights, she can generally take on. There are, like, I wouldn't say there's anyone who specifically gets demolished. Now, most defenders usually can't really bully people unless it's, like, an EX, like Gear 5 Luffy. But something like Betty playing as a defensive supportive unit, you're not really meant to bully or specifically counter units. You do particularly counter status effectors. I guess this could be my one definition, is you do counter status effectors because you can use your skill 1 on your allies and remove their ability to be status affected. So you can prevent those other units that rely on their status effects, like Charlotte Prospero, Onigashima Nami, Onigashima Raid Usopp, like any of those units that revolve around inflicting a status effect in order to get their job done. You can deny them that ability by providing your allies with 15 seconds of immunity to status effects. Next, let's talk about the characters that counter you. You majorly need to watch out for any units that can take away cooldowns, because you have generally long skill cooldowns, so if those start getting reduced and, like, you go back to 0, it's going to hurt you an awful lot, especially if it's your invincibility skill. So watch out for units like Charlotte Cracker with his Biscuit Soldier. If he hits that on you and pushes you back, he will eliminate your entire skill cooldown, which will hurt you tremendously. So be on the lookout for that. That's the one ability you need to dodge if you're fighting Charlotte Cracker. You can inflict yourself with anti-stagger, so just make sure you do not get hit by that. And hopefully you can just walk out of the Biscuit Soldier before he demolishes your skill cooldowns. There are others such as Treble and Caribou, but those are less likely to be encountered in League Battle in general, so I don't think you have to be on the lookout for those as much. Alright, you guys, lastly, let's get to the most important part, is the medal recommendations. So, Betty revolves around getting her skill 2 cooldown. That is the most important one. If you can get skill 1, nice, but your allies can get you the cooldowns, or you killing someone can get you the cooldowns from there on its own. So, skill 2 is your priority. Now, this is a rather interesting medal recommendation set. I think that she's got one of the most unique. You really just want to prioritize skill 2. So in my little page here that I have, I put this together myself. My most recommended is that Toby Robo set. You get that page 1 set that where you get 4% cooldown if you get knocked down, and then you have that event Who's Who. If you have that, I strongly recommend that one. If you don't have it, we do have those recycling event medals, so hopefully you'll get a chance to get that if you're willing to splurge a few dollars for it. If not, then I don't know what to tell you, but you can definitely pull over some other Toby Robo medals. There's other cooldowns and other ways to get them, but these two are definitely a must-have to go together. And then you can get any other Toby Robo. You could potentially just throw in the ulti to get extra damage reduction, or you could just throw in, honestly, another one of either of those two medals and give you just more cooldowns when you're doing things. The Who's Who one is when you knock someone down, you get 4% cooldown, and then the page one is when you get knocked down, you get 4% cooldown. So get a little extra cooldowns when you're in the middle of fighting people. Next up is our Baroque Word set. This is actually infamously known as one of the best skill 2 cooldowns in the whole, like, all of the medal sets. There is a different one that can give you about the same skill 2, but this is your general great passive one. So if you're fighting and you're not directly fighting or coming into contact with any other people, this is one of your better sets, because the Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine's Day, they are older event medals. Again, we are getting recycling event medals, so they will become possible to get finally. Those give you 13% or 10% passive cooldown when your team is either above flags or below flags. And then the Mr. 3 medal gives you an extra 5% cooldown on your skill 2 whenever you use skill 1. This is huge. It goes a long way, and I think it's actually one of the best. And then you get triple tag effect for all of those as well, so you get the extra 20% cooldown on your skill 2 as well. Next up, we have the crit set. Now, this one may be a little bit of a stretch, but I think this one kind of requires a little bit more testing, but I think it's very doable. If you are to go full attack crit, I really think this will work. It's just a theory, so this is kind of more so like just a possibility. But if you are to go full attack crit, I'm going to try this out myself. I think this could work. You give yourself 200% bonus crit, so that gives you a high chance to crit if you're attacking an enemy. Now, remember, this set is only good if you're going to be in the middle of fighting people. So you need to be attacking people. Basically, your only attacking source is your basic attack. So you got to be able to basic attack. use that. You can rely on your invincibility to keep you alive. You can rely on your anti-stagger to help you fight people like Shanks and Charlotte Cracker as well. So use those. This will give you extra cooldowns. The Wolf Medal gives you 3% heal, so you get a little extra tidbits of heal. The Lucci Medal gives you some cooldown on your skill 2, and then if you do the Rain Medal, you can get the cooldown on your skill 1 by 5%. You honestly could probably ditch the Rain Medal and just go double Lucci Medal. I think would be preferred here. And if you go with the worst generation medal set, it's basically the same thing. It's just like a 3% instead of 5% for the skill 1 cooldown on one of those medals. I don't remember exactly which is which. But other than that, if you want to run just your generic damage reduction set and go full HP defense, that is an option. It is up to you how you choose to play her. I think since you can rely on the invincibility and just keep attacking people, I was like, imagine you'll do damage on your way back. So yes, she doesn't do crazy amounts of damage, but she can wither some people down if she's invincible, so it is possible. Anyways, that is my Bello Betty guide. I hope you guys found this helpful. If you did, be sure to leave a like, follow, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. But that's all I have for you guys. I'm your boy Romanpuss, and I'm going to be taking off. Yeah, peace, beautiful people.